My name is Kenyatta Hobson, and I grew up in Alabama. I was born and raised in Alabama. And if I were asked today, are you an artist? I'd probably say no. And the reason that I would say no is I'm more of a creative. I know lots of artists and lots of very good artists. And the more exposure you have, the more techniques you learn, the more media you study, you learn that, wow, I have so much more to learn. And but I am an artist. A friend of mine asked why Artsy Branches, and I shared that Artsy Branches because of these China berry trees that stood outside of the home where my mother grew up, and I spent part of my life there in rural Alabama. And these trees were almost like members of the family, there were snakes found in them, there were swings. During the summers, we would go out and tie rope on one of the branches and make us a makeshift swing. And then I actually had an uncle, one of my grandfather's sister's husband, would go out and eat the China berries. And I said, why is he eating the China berries? Oh my gosh, But I didn't think you could really eat them. I thought they were poisoned all of these years. But at the end of the day, the trees were just stately representations of stability. They were stately representations of, they were almost like family heirlooms, And then all of a sudden one day a storm came. I saw a China berry tree fall down. Then something else happened, and they had to cut one of the trees down. I felt like I lost a family member, but those trees were a big part of my childhood, and I've always remembered the design, the tendencies to the towering, impressive China berry trees in that front yard. They were very much a part of my life. When I approach art, I look at design. There's always a design in everything that we do. Everything I think or believe that it started out as a sketch and then came to real life. And I am very, very much a colorist. I love color, bold colors, even though, I might not show up to your event in fuchsia. I might want to, but I'll wear black or gray or blue or something, very modest and conservative. But at the end of the day, I'm always looking around the room to see who has on the boldest color and how is that color matching that person's personality, and am I gonna get a chance to get to that person and find out a little bit more about that person. So color leads to so many opportunities to envision and to visualize excitement in life. So I've always considered myself a colorist, and maybe not so much a creative, more so a colorist than an artist. Did I study art? Of course I studied art. I'm largely a product of the Alabama public education system, and I know that there are lots of opportunities for art. As we matriculate through school, we went from the elementary schools to the middle schools and then to the high schools or what have you. And I know middle schools, there was always an art component in the curriculum, and then you went to high school, and I remember high school there was AP art. Mr. Kerr was actually, Gary Kerr was actually one of the art teachers there, and he was, I couldn't really fill out, what he wanted me to do. And then I realized that he said, well, you need to do your own thing. You have the ability to do your own thing, so draw, paint, sculpt, do whatever we were doing during that segment. And then I went to college, and that's where my life changed. I had an art instructor, Elizabeth Kaiser Wilson, God rest her soul. But she was just so free and just so, her ingenuity impressed me so much to the point that, we stayed in touch over the years. And shortly before she died, I asked her for an idea. She said, well, just take some plain high quality paper, and paint it with gouache or whatever, and just tear it up and throw it in the middle of the floor, and then just make collages. And shortly after I got around to tearing the paper up and making the collages, she died. So that was really a sad moment for me, but it really emboldened me to really take art, by the tail and kind of see where it took me. And of course, there were some life changes that came about that, for me personally, that kind of pushed me into the idea of art, or actually producing art. And it gave me kind of, the boost to go on with Artsy Branches. Well, I really want my work to inspire people. I want people to be able to look at some of the things that I'm doing. I know I've worked largely with the alcohol ink and the coasters. Each tile has an organic way of expressing so much more than, you just look at it, oh, those colors are pretty or what have you. But if you really take time to meditate and look at each design, it's impressed me, by the richness and the expectancy of where the next bubble goes. And, if I could really retrace my steps or retrace the drops of ink that I place on each tile, it's just really meditative to me. I tend to work late at night, and I don't have a studio, and I have a small space for art, so sometimes things will get a little cluttered. But when I do have the patience to deal with the setting, I can really, focus on what I'm trying to say with the art pieces that I do. Now with the painting is relative. I can't just wake up and paint, I had a conversation with my mother about, oh, you need to sell some of your stuff, and I'm like, in time, when I'm ready. I'm not pressed to sell anything so much as I am to enjoy the process. And if I enjoy the process, I know that what I convey to any customer or any person who's interested in the work that I produce, then I know that I will practically give it away. It'll be a joy to give away. But right now I'm turning a hobby into something a little more serious, and I'm enjoying that process too. The business aspect of art, is a little bit more than I thought it would be. I'm as I said, a creative. I'll turn the process over to somebody else to manage, but I do know that I have to be involved in it. So it's a fun process, and I guess I have the skill sets for both. KAH Originals is actually the parent body for most of the original works that I will do. I remember making that name up like many years ago between my sophomore and junior year at Stillman. I was doing a lot of freelance art. I did banners for step shows. I did campaign signs for local politicians. I did, props, set and design for theatrical productions. Just you name it. I did banners for birthday parties, for anything. I decorated for Christmas, anything. So I put all of that work together as KAH Originals. And it wasn't until much later that I said, I can do a whole lot more than that with KAH Originals. And then of course I came to grad school, and most of my time was spent reading and writing papers, so I put that over in the back burner. So I've re-envisioned KAH Originals, and that is going to be one of the venues that I will showcase original art, and hopefully you'll like some of the work that you'll see. So Artsy Branches is more of a collective. I will have original art, of course. Of course, there will be all types of things to happen on the website. I'm going to share lots of culture. I'd like to say, a vlog of sorts. I will blog too, but I think I like going around the city, especially here in Washington, and I like to be able to showcase some of the events. Some of them are probably a little less important to you than they are to me, But I think cherry blossoms are a big thing, so I always go down to the cherry blossoms. The Capitol, is always a reminder of democracy in our country and how important it is to preserve democracy. But at the end of the day, I just like to go around and showcase. Some people think it might be a little too much. Oh, you put everything on Facebook, you put everything here, there, but it's my life to showcase. So I really don't necessarily, I respect your opinion, but I have my own. So that's what I do.